Welcome to Marlene at Home. And I'm Marlene. I'm the Adult Services Supervisor at the North Carroll branch. And this episode is ways to stay warm on a snowy day, or things to do on a snowy day. Now, if you're like me and a lover of snow, a lover of winter, you might want to get your sled, go out sledding. Well, I guess I should say before that, you should get a coat, you should bundle up. Let's see, grab an old coat, maybe some earmuffs. I won't put them on, don't want to mess up my hair right yet. Old scarf, warm gloves, and go shovel. That'll make you nice and warm. Or snow blow if you have a snow blower. Or take a walk. I love to just be outside in the snow. My South Carolina husband is not as excited about snow as I am. I'd love to just be out there by myself, especially at night. I really love to be out in the snow. Late at night, it's so quiet, it's almost like a whisper when snow's coming down. But anyway, I want to share with you some ideas about how to enjoy a snow day. One of my most favorite things to do on a cold, snowy day is to make soup. So I'm going to share a recipe of one of our favorite soups that I make. This is from the Taste of Home magazine, and it's called Creamy Swiss Onion Soup. Of all the soups I make, I have to say this one probably gets the most requests. Anyway, you need to have 3 large onions. Now, I always triple the recipe. I'm giving you the single recipe, but while I'm making it, I'm also making it in a triple batch so that there will be plenty. And we usually have soup days at North Carroll every Tuesday in the winter. Now with COVID, we're not doing that, but this is one that I often make for winter soup days at North Carroll. So this is the last onion that I need to cut, and you just need to take the skin off, and then we're going to slice it. We're going to quarter it. I do have a puppy dog nearby. Whenever I'm anywhere, but especially whenever I'm in the kitchen, he's underfoot. But at the moment, he's underfoot at the cameraman. And so, just take the skin off. I've already washed my hands. All right. So I cut the onion in half. And then in half again. Oh, I see a little skin on there. And it's fun to make soup before you go outside and play or shovel. Cut this in quarters. Now I just didn't pay attention, and so I cut it the wrong way. But anyway, I can still work with that later on. But if I just do it like this, and then I just make thin slices. And then I quarter it this way. Just makes it a little easier to cut. Sometimes the last slice or so gets a little slippery. So anyway, and I just cut it again. If there's a bigger chunk, I cut it again. So let me try and do this one now. So it takes 3 large onions for a single batch. And you would start by putting 4 tablespoons of butter in the bottom of your pan first. Then cut your onions, put it on top of the butter, and then you're going to saute them on a low temperature. And you'll see when I take the lid off of here, by the way, this is one of my new Christmas presents. After 47 years of marriage, my other Dutch oven just as life is over. Although I moved it from my kitchen up to our cabin kitchen, but anyway, this thing weighs a ton. It's cast iron, but it's beautiful and it's gonna work wonderfully. So I already have all the butter in the bottom. I just set this out here to remind me to tell you. And then I will just take it over and I will put it on the stove on low to medium heat, closer to low, and saute it for about 12 minutes. Another fun thing to do to keep warm on a snowy day, if you have a pet, is to snuggle with your pet. So this is Cooper, who you've seen before. He's still has his Christmas scarf on, or maybe Valentine's before too long. But anyway, he'll keep you warm. He'll warm you up on a snowy day. He'll also jump and play outside like crazy and not want to come in. So he's a fun pet to have on a snowy day. Maybe on your snow day, you look forward to a mug of hot chocolate. So you could either make it from scratch or get an envelope of hot chocolate, make it in your cup, add some marshmallows if you like, and have something nice and steamy or some hot spice cider. Maybe you want a little something sweet. You're not into the soup thing. Have you ever had cookie butter? There's several different brands, a couple different brands at Walmart. That's where I got this one. This is Lotus Biscoff cookie butter. It is addicting, I want to warn you. I like to have it on vanilla wafers or graham crackers. So if you want to touch of something a little sweet, and you don't even have to bake, I recommend cookie butter, but try it at your own risk. All right, back to our soup. It has now sauteed for 12 or 15 minutes on low to medium. I had to turn mine up a little bit on medium. This new pan is quite thick, and so it did take a little longer. If I was just doing 3 onions, then I would add 1.5 cups of water. And I would add 4.5 teaspoons of chicken granulated bouillon. Not the bouillon cubes, it's just like you can spoon it out. So 4.5 teaspoons. 1, 2, 3, 4. Since you're watching me, I'll be exact, 4.5. Get the half teaspoon. And this brand is Herbox, and this would just be where you get the dry soup mixes in the soup aisle at the grocery store. So now I'm going to turn up my heat and bring this to a boil. And of course it smells wonderful in here because the onions and the butter sauteing smells very, very good. So we're going to stir in the water and the bouillon, and we're going to bring this to a boil, and then we're going to turn the heat down, cover it, and simmer it for about 15 minutes. All right, so we've now simmered this for 15 minutes. Now I'm going to add 1/4 cup of flour to 1/2 cup of milk. And I'm going to just use a whisk and stir it up good till there aren't any lumps, till it's nice and smooth. Get it off the sides. Similar to making gravy. And then I'm going to slowly add it. To the soup mixture that had just been simmering. And this will thicken the soup. And then I'm going to stir in some additional milk. 1¼ cups. Turn up the heat a little bit. And I'm going to bring it to a boil, and then I'll boil it for 2 minutes until it's thickened, and then I'll be back with you again. While that was simmering, I just in my food processor shredded several cups of Swiss cheese. So I have that here. And then if you were doing it just for 3 onions, then you would add 3/4 cup of Swiss cheese. And I have it on low heat. And then you'll just stir it until the cheese melts in there. It says add a little bit of pepper to taste. I've made a lot of soup, so I'm adding a good bit of pepper, but that would be totally up to you. And then each person can add their own as well, or not. And so this is just on low heat for the cheese to melt. All right, I'll be back with you in just a minute to show you how I serve it. On snowy days, I love to make soup, but I love to make large amounts of soup. And that's because at our last house, we would have men come and snow plow our drive. And we were just a small house, and so we would usually be the end of the day. Those men were pretty exhausted, and so I would always like to have soup for whenever they would come, and they would always used to rave. No matter what I made, I felt like I could have just done just about anything, and those men would have raved over my food. But anyway, I started that tradition, and then when we moved to this house, we don't have our driveway plowed, but we have a snowblower, and sometimes some neighbors will come and help my husband, knowing he's a heart patient. And so anyway, I like to give them something to take home that they can eat at home or with their families. And so I make lots of soup. That's why this large amount. No snow, but I'm just used to making soup in large batches. And then give it away. Give it to neighbors. Take it to somebody that's ill. Take it to work. Those things disappear. So anyway, it's all finished now, and I will just ladle some into a bowl. And an oven-proof bowl is what I use so that it can go under my broiler. Sometimes if I'm having a big crowd and I can't do the finishing topping, I will just serve it in my soup tureen over here on the counter, and just put the croutons and things and the Swiss cheese sprinkled on top of that. It doesn't get to melt under a broiler because that would not work in the oven. But the recipe calls for taking the soup and then putting some croutons on. I like to use, this is called Caesar croutons. This is the Great Value Walmart brand. Any flavor of croutons that you like. The recipe really calls for you to make your own croutons, and so I cheat. And so I just buy store-bought ones. And then I take a little bit more of the Swiss cheese, sprinkle it on top, and then just for a couple minutes on a high shelf in your oven, about 4 inches away from your broiler, you just put it in there for a couple of minutes till the cheese starts to melt, maybe a little brown, and you'll see it in a minute. All right, here we go. The finishing touch. Oh, some croutons are a little browner than I would have wanted. But here's the taste at home, creamy Swiss onion soup. I hope you can see it, and I hope you'll enjoy it if you make it. And it really does. Warms you up while you're making it, warms your kitchen up by the oven being on, and just warms my day to make soup on a snow day. One of my most favorite ways to stay warm on a snowy day, maybe I've already been outside sledding shoveling, playing in the snow. Maybe I've already had my soup. Then come in and get under my electric throw. It's so soft. You turn it on, and oh, I love to cuddle under it. I always kid, we have what we call an adopted family, some Amish friends that we are very close to us. They're like second children to us. And when they visited a few years ago, they all fell in love with my electric throw. And so I always kid them that I'm going to give them one for Christmas, but won't quite work when they don't have electricity. But they sure enjoyed my electric throw when they were here. And while you're under an electric throw, you might want to think about some books to read. One I've talked about before, and I know that I'm going to book talk on what to read Wednesday, is The Winter Soldier. Set in a lot of snow in World War I, and very graphic medical war book. It's a little bit of everything. Mystery, thriller, some romance, war story, history, but The Winter Soldier by Daniel Mason. Or a book I'm just about finished listening to, a new book this year, The Book of Lost Names by Kristen Harmel, a World War II novel that has got me on the edge of my car seat as I'm driving. I've only got a disc or two left to listen to, but I'm enjoying that. I just noticed tonight as I picked up the books of things I want to read, another one is a book by Kristen Harmel, The Winemaker's Wife, which she won a good number of awards for, and this is a World War II story as well. A new author to me, one of my daughters gave me this for Christmas, is Elizabeth Holmes, and this title is HRH, Her Royal Highness, So Many Thoughts on Royal Style. I was not familiar with this author, CCPL, we do have it, I just looked, but a lot of people know her, this author Elizabeth Holmes, because she is the creator of the Instagram series So Many Thoughts. And while she talks every day about the royal family, what she does is she identifies that piece of jewelry and the history background or where they are that day, special things to take into consideration. So it's a very interesting what the earrings are, why this certain dress or scarf is worn in this scenario. So it's all like the history, the royal particulars, and so anyway, I've not followed her on Instagram, but after looking at this book, I haven't read it yet, and listening to my girls describe her and her Instagram information and her book, I really would like to follow her. So another one that I recommend for you when you're under your warm throw on a cold, snowy day. But if none of that works, then you might want to end up with something else I got for Christmas but I haven't opened yet. You might just want to crawl up and sleep through the whole snow day, and you might need one of these, although I can barely pick it up. It's a weighted blanket, and they say that it really helps you sleep really well. This one is the 15-pound weight one, which is for someone my size. They come lighter, they come much heavier. Right now, folded up, trying to pick this up, I can't quite imagine sleeping under it. Obviously, you won't sleep under it all folded up like this, but you might just want to crawl up under here and miss the whole snow day if all else fails. Thanks again for joining me at Marlene at Home, and I hope you can enjoy a winter snow day with some of the ideas I've mentioned.